There we are. Excellent. Excuse me, that's a very inelegant look that I'm doing now. Hi Margaret, thank you for joining me, darling. Could you just let me know that you can see and hear me okay? It looks okay on my screen, but I've got all the sounds turned down so that I don't hear everything in echo, so that's always cool. And we're just a little bit ahead of 3 o'clock, so we'll just let the clock tick round and see where we're up to, and wait a little bit for people to join as they want to. Hi Jill, thank you darling. I trust that you are well and enjoying your life. I managed to get to Lee Papercraft Show this morning, and I was the last of the big spenders not. I bought glue. So I now have my beloved pin and flag glue gel, which I've been out of for weeks and weeks and weeks because I wouldn't pay postage, and just wanted to, and knew I was going, so I was going to wait to get it at the show rather than that, and there's usually a show deal, so there we are. So that's what we do. I want new blades for my paper trimmer because you go through them if you're doing lots of paper crafting stuff. Good afternoon, Alison. Thank you for joining us. Hello, Julie. Thank you for joining us as well. I have no idea how many people will join. It's 9 AM in the morning in the central parts of the States and East Coast America, so we might get some of our American crafters joining us today. On the other hand, we might not. Well, who knows? You pick a time, you'll never suit everyone, because that's just life, isn't it? I have done a significant amount. Good afternoon, Sue. Thank you for joining. I have done a significant amount of prep, and I haven't pre-published the sizes. I apologise, but really there's very little measurements involved, and it's more about an idea, because then you can adapt this tutorial to any size that you want. Spent on Sissy's quote in my Putin. Naughty, you just need to come and raid my stash, Jill. There's plenty of Sizzix dies in my room that you're welcome to come and raid. Lots and lots of them. Just invite yourself over when you're free. Good afternoon, Sheila. Welcome, welcome. So we're beginning to get a few people ticking through. So I suggested I might do some paper albums over time, and so I thought I'd start with the most simplest form, which is really an accordion type album, or a this way that way album, depending on how you want to think about it. And as an easy start, I am using card blanks because it saves a lot of cutting. Now these were purchased to go in 6-inch envelopes, so they are just a little bit under 6 inches. I think they were, she says, having lost her rulers in front of her. There we are, there's the rulers. So they were 6-inch, to go in 6-inch envelopes, so they're actually just over 5 3/4 of an inch square. And they're really useful because it's a nice solid card which gives your base some structural integrity, and as I say, they're all guaranteed, going to be neatly cut and scored, and then we've got some bits to add them over. So that's how I often start my accordion folder. I look and see what I've got a stash of cards of, and then go from there. So the card blanks are, as I say, about just over 5 3/4 inches, and I have cut myself 2 pieces of grey board that are 6 inches by 6 inches for the front and the back covers, and 2 pieces of Precious by Stamperia ordinary paper. It's double-sided for covering those. So that's going to be my first step for this. Anything to make life easy, I guess, is the honest answer to all of this. Good afternoon, Joe. My shopping day was lovely. I got what I wanted, which, to be fair, well, that's interesting. So you bought a new lot of glue, and the thing's already split. Oh, well, there we are. So I got myself some pinflay glue, so that will make my life easier for when I'm making lives, not for pent up, because I can add things much more manageably. Hello, Miss CD. Welcome, welcome. I got some new blades for my trimmer, because that makes life easy. Let's just move over there slightly, because that will give you more view, I reckon, of what I'm doing. So the paper is 8 inches by 8 inches. That just gives me a bit of wriggle room and space to cover. There we are. What else did I get? I got not a lot really. I got some blades for my crafter thing. So I'm going to cut these, and when you're cutting these pieces, you need to sort of leave enough here in this corner to cover the depth of the piece. So I'm just going to come across here, take some rough triangles out, but I'm deliberately not going right up to that corner. I'm leaving myself a gap here. Yeah, you could, be more accurate than me. You could get out an angle measuring tool, but hey ho, life is too short, and we'll cope with the doggers. So there we are from that point of view, and the inside is going to be covered anyway. So I'm going to pop that up, and we'll give that a little push, because that will help make that neater. And we'll do the same on that side, give it a little push up, because that again will make life easier. And the way I work these is to do opposite sides, because that makes life good. Hello Alison, hi Lamia. So hi Marisol, welcome, welcome. So we're just going to put a bead of glue into there so it attaches, some glue over there, fold these round and give them a good push down so that it sticks, and then just let the glue grab, because if you aren't patient and don't let the glue grab, then it's all going to lift off, isn't it? It's common sense really. Am I Mrs. Patient? Am I? Heck, not at all, at all, at all. So I don't know, there we are. So I think lives on a Sunday evening are going to get a bit busy, aren't they? The lovely Leonie has said that she's going to be going live at 7 on her own page every Sunday. So that'll be interesting. It'll be good for a laugh, if nothing else, depending on how organised she has been and how. So I'm just going to rock this up and over. Rock this up and over, because that's going to help pull these over neatly. And then in this corner there's a little bit that's going to dog, if I just fold it, you can see it dog-earing, and that's fine. So just push that in and do the same at both ends, because that's going to help neaten off your piece. And then add some more glue. There we are, and we'll just pop that up and over, and that's going to give me some nice corners. There we are. So I thought that I'm going to probably alternate between really a paper crafting live and a a mixed media live might be good. I've got lots of paper I need to use. It's going to sit there forever in a month of Sunday if I don't go back to some of my paper crafting roots. So there we are. We might well get out the lovely Liz Wheeler's templates at some point, though I have to say that I tend to not use templates for my making. I tend to so this has given me really nice corners, sharp edges, relatively easily, and that is one cover outside done. We will be embellishing it at some point. I have some beautiful moulds to paint, and I haven't got a clue how long we're going to take today. We're going to make the whole concertina album completely from scratch with all its decorations and its embellishments, so we might be here just a little wee while, but hey ho, that's good. If anyone feels that they can, please feel happy to share and remind people that we've gone live. That's always much welcome. Good afternoon, Anna. I trust Romania is good this morning. There we are. Let's just have a little trim of here. So I think there's Liz does journal templates rather than little mini albums live. I think very few people are doing lives with, there we go, get that right, with scrapbooking to make albums, because they simply take a long time to do. So I always go opposite sides to opposite sides. That's just what works for me. No problem, Joan, and hello Judith, welcome to my ever so slightly mad world. So as I say, my card blanks are just under 5 3/4 or just over 5 3/4, and these pieces of chipboard are 6 inches, so that there's a little bit of wriggle room, which of course will be increased just a tad by the paper I'm adding on the outside, and that's cool. Let's just clear some of that goo off there before we stick everything down where we don't want it. So that can roll over there, and then we can give this a little push, good push down. That will help that glue to grab. You don't need masses of glue to make everything soggy. Hello Ginny, did you get home safely, my darling? So again, I'm just going to roll that way to help pull that in, rock that and roll it over, tuck in the edges, so just tuck that little bit in, add some glue, pull that round and give this a little push down. There we are. And so this is just a very easy way of just making a simple book, which, you know, can hold a few pictures, depending on, well, you can make them as big as you want, but with as many pages as you want, but actually they just become very unwieldy, I think, if you go for huge numbers. But nice handbag sized or special occasion, you know, someone announces an engagement, you just have a few pictures from an engagement party and something special as a memory, or a baby shower, or a new baby book, you know, just an easy way. So I now have 2 6-inch by 6-inch pieces of grey board that I have covered with paper. So those are that's the outside prep for those done. So we've got a good number of people. So these are, as I say, my card blanks, and clearly I can't concertina them in all separately. So I know that I want to add them like this. So I have taken another card blank, cut a strip that is the height of the card and 2 inches wide, and then scored it at 1 inch, and these are just going to allow me to have a nice robust area. And I'm just going to, again, because this is going to make life easy, back and forth score those. So that's going to go onto there, and I'm going to pop it that way round. Doesn't matter if you go that way or that way, you just need to be able to pop them together. So we're just going to add a little bit of glue into there. Could be tape, but tape on glue has a habit of drying out with time, and then things separate. So just line it up neatly, give it a good push down, little brayer in place, yeah, and then pick up your next card blank. So I want it to open like this because I'm building my layers. So there we are. So I can now add an extra bit of glue onto there. There we are. And now I can line this card up with the one below and make sure that they are reasonably well aligned. There we are. Would help when they're cut straight, but hey ho. So you want these lined up as best as you can, because they start out wonky. So I now have a strip joined just simply with that, with one piece of paper. And yeah, you can see that on that side, but it actually does not matter very much, because we can then you know, we're going to cover most of that with other things anyway. So let's just give this another good push down. Hello Caroline, welcome. There we are, we can pop that. That's giving me that. So we'll just add, we're just going to stack these all up so that they concertina nicely. And as I say, you can add as many of these as you want. It's easy enough to do. There we are, that can go onto there. Let's just wipe that excess glue, give that a little squash down, let the glue grab. I'm using Pentox Express glue because it does grab quickly. There we are. So that's going to open that way. We'll just make sure we've got these nicely edged. Give that a little squash down. There we are. It's nice to see people joining. Okay. So we've got some sort of rinse and repeat activities today, I'm afraid. I don't think there's any way of not doing that when you're building an album, but I'm hoping that, as I say, this is a space for your memories in a simple way that minimises the amount of cutting and messing about, and uses stuff that most of us have lying around. And if we're very unlucky, we might end up doing an album with some envelopes as the base, because I've got tons of them too. And they make good bases for albums. There we go. So we're now, you can see you're beginning to get quite a long length by doing this, yeah? And it's just concertinaed back on top of each other, and it'll fold quite nicely. And I've cut enough pieces for all of these, for all the other pieces, so we might as well pop them all together, and then we'll add it into the base. So this is a mini album, accordion fold, this way, that way, call it what you want. I like a flip-flap envelope album. Okie dokie, we can think about a flip-flap like one of those another time. I'm going to try to sort of do a mixture of properly mixed media art pieces and some properly paper craft pieces is the plan, so that I don't get bored and so that I can use some of my inordinate stash of papers. So now I have a long squash with that, so just let your glue dry in between. Yeah, so I've now got an album set and lots of pages all linked together. Cool. So that's the correct way up, because this is not when you want to mess it up. So I am now simply going to, you'll see why I say this is a really easy way of making an album. Okay, so that lot can then centralise in there, put my head in the way of everyone else. So that's going on there. Come on, don't glue your flippy flappy pages together because they're wet. Just be patient. Like that. And then, again, that's the correct way up. Yes, for that text. So then let's just pop this. Hi Anthony. This is definitely a proper papercraft make today. Now I've got a plan for how to add my closures on the outside of my album, but if you wanted to put them inside, then before you put the two pieces together is the time to do it. Yeah. Yeah. So let's just square those up, give it a little squash, and then you have your album. Yeah, you can see the album pages all sorted out, all squished together. So, and then it comes down to the fun part. So that's a really, really easy way of doing an accordion style album without using lots of products, in a really simple way. I've been having problems with the keep this or oh, I think Facebook does its own thing, Alison. It's just part of life. So then we need to start thinking about decorating our piece. And so there we are. So that's what we're going to do. So I've essentially used what remains of my 12 by 12 precious pad of paper, having taken one sheet out for a previous make and another sheet out for my Life of Penta on Thursday of this week. So quite, but that leaves, if you're only using mixed media live pieces, backgrounds or home decor pieces, then actually you end up with lots of pads of paper and lots of pieces left over. And this is a really good way of using it. And because I've based these on 5 3/4-ish card blanks, designed to sold as 6-inch squares, but the envelope's a 6-inch, not the card. I can get 4 pages out of one sheet of the 12 by 12, and because they're double-sided, it means I can use those. So I've cut these to actually 14.5 centimetres. I think it was 14.5 centimetres when I did it. Yeah, 14.5 centimetres, which is just the perfect size for inside here, giving me a little bit of a border. I'm going for a shabby effect, and I've got white, and there's white in the paper, so I don't really need to add lots of inking to these. So that's what I've done here, is I've just cut that out from there, and then taken a pair of scissors, I know that's risky, and literally just scruffled along the edges to give a shabby effect to the pieces. And I've done that throughout because there's only so much rinse and repeats, it's manageable, isn't it? And it doesn't really matter which way you put these in, because ultimately we're going to be layering other things on top of them. So let me just pop a tiny little bit of glue onto there, and I've set these up page by page, again to try and help speed the process through, but to still give people plenty of time. So just centralise that on there, onto here, if that makes sense. Now in the album, the paper album, there are areas that you can fussy cut out, and this was an envelope and that's one side, and all I've done is cut it, and then I've chopped the top bit off, so I've made myself a little pocket. So I'm going to pop that little pocket onto there because that's what I wanted. Hello Dawn, welcome. So I'll just pop a little bit of glue up there, not too much so it just makes a mess, onto there. We'll need a little bit to cover that area. Pop that down, just add a little bit onto there because we can see that that's going to be flapped otherwise. So that's created me a little pocket for the inside cover of my album, and I know it might seem sacrilege because we're now, I can pop it in like that, or I can pop it in like this, and you can create two pockets. So I am just going to run a bead of glue around 3 edges of this from here, and then that can go into there, onto there, and then we'll start adding some frilly fancy extra bits, because why not? So I've got a little bit of lace here. Hello Alison, welcome. Let's just straighten that up. So I'm going to add a little piece of lace onto there, so just cut that. Hopefully that'll be about the right length. Bead of lace along there. So I'm just going to add that. Now when you're doing these sort of concertina albums, you don't want to have lots of bulky additions, because it becomes very difficult then to close. But you know, if you are happy for it to be a bit on the wonky donk when it's shirred, then add as much or as little as you want really to your pieces. Now I have some extra bits and pieces lurking over here, so these are some Prima flowers that I've had in my stash for ages, so let's just shovel a whole mountain of those. The colours I just felt worked with my make, and I've got 2 different packets here. Yeah, those are the same, so we'll just add a little bit of this, scatter some of these down and around. Why not? It's got a bit of vellum, we might well add some of that. So I've got that, and then I die cut myself some leaves, just using a die. So that's going to allow me to embellish to my heart's content. If you've got a little flower die, you could just as easily cut out your flowers and make them all from yourself. That wouldn't be too big of a headache, I think, to do. And I've got some words that I may or may not add later on, but I want some extra bits to go on here. So I am just going to pull off that. I'm going to add that onto there, but it's going to get lost, I think, if I just pop it straight onto there, because it's all come from the same paper pad. So let me add the next trick to the process. So this is just an old book. I don't speak French, can't use French, but it's nicely aged. So I can now just add maybe a little element of text onto here for a bit of interest, and then my die can go on the top of it, which will just add some detail. This will have come from a charity shop, and as I'm rather hoping it doesn't say anything terrible. I don't think it does, but this is just going to then allow me to layer my pieces and them to show more manageably. So there we are. So we'll just add some little bits of glue onto here. That piece can go onto there. We might put the glue gun on. She says if she can see the plug and where she's put it. Aha, we can see where it is. That's always good. There we are. And pop that there. Pop that there. We've added that little bit of that, and we then might take just a couple of flowers just to add into this to build a little bit of extra interest. So we'll pop a blob of glue there for now. Blob of glue from there. These are relatively flat, and they're just going to allow me to have a little bit of interest. And I've got a pocket here that I can then add a tag to, and conveniently the paper collection has some tags in it. So let me just chop a couple of these out. It's nice double-sided, but you could use these spaces clearly for just adding, adding photographs or putting a journaling card in, adding what you want really. And at this point we could add some string. She said, and she thought she had some of the string out, but maybe not. So there we are. But it's up to you at this point whether you want to put anything extra on the tags to hold them, or whether you're happy for them just to be as they are, or whether you want to back them with some extra white card for yourself. Entirely up to you. So that can go in there. That will fit into there. Hello Sabine, welcome. There we are. So this as I say, by using the elements that are in your paper pad, you can then build up an interactive pocket out with extra pages and tuck spots for putting things in. Really useful for holding tickets from events, or your extra pieces, so they can just sit into there. And because I've cut that as an extra one, I can actually pop that behind there quite happily. If I push that in, it's clearly going to go flying. So let me just grab some wax cotton. There we are. We've got some wax cotton here, and we can add a little hole, if I know where my crocodile is, and add something to stabilise this. If I just pop a hole into here and then add some thread, I'm likely to damage that as I go. So the trick for this is to make your own reinforcer. So let me add one of those. Let's just cut a whole mountain of these out of this strip. So we'll need a few of these as we go through the process. So this is just a small circular punch. We'll all have those in our stash, I'm absolutely sure, and we're going to keep these. But this is going to just add some reinforcement here, which will make my life easier. There we are. And I tend to put one at each side again for extra support. Just seems to me to be sensible to do that. That can go onto there, and you'll find it just makes it more stable long term. You've less risk of damaging your pieces that way if you want, when you punch through and add your string to it. So I've got some wax cotton, so just give that a little squash, make sure it's reasonably dried, poke a hole in that, there we are, and then we'll add approximately in the centre. And because that's not completely dry, that's going to be a problem, so let's just let that There we are. We'll let that one dry. So let's just take a piece of wax glue. Can't see anything. We'll catch up. I'm sorry, Alison. What's the problem, darling? There we are. We'll move that into where we need to be. I'm sorry if I was working off shot. So there we are. So we've just done a little lark's head lot, and we'll just knock that, pop that into there, and then we've got something to pull with. That's going to go in there. So I'll just repeat that. So 2 circles on there, give it a little squash. Hopefully it's a bit drier. I'm deliberately using the bigger hole on my crocodile. Give that little piece of here, and then, as I say, we're going to have to do the whole album. It's going to take us a goodly while today. If people get fed up or want me to stop, then please just say, and we'll see where we get to, and I can always finish it next weekend anyway. We don't have to do it all today if we run out of time, you know, if it's just going on for a ridiculous amount of time. I do have some plans for the... Here we are. So we now have our little pocket with 2 envelopes in, 2 little tags in, and the inside cover neatly decorated with some of the tricks that actually I use a lot. So paper die cut elements. You'll often have seen me actually using chipboard elements, but they work out really, really expensive, ladies, and that's fine if you've got lots of money and you can afford it, but a lot of us will have dies, so why not use them? Okay, so this is the front cover of the album, and this is going to be a really simple page. So I tend to have one side really simple, one side a much more detailed. Hello Dee, thank you for joining us, my darling. Thank you for a lovely day or a lovely morning at the craft show. So I don't want this page to be very complicated. I've added an extra details in bulk there. So we're just going to pop that piece of paper onto there, and as I say, that's 14.5 centimeters square, so it's got that. Now I want to add a photo mat onto here because it's going to define the use of this page. So I sort of had a little play with the sizes, and for me a piece of card that was 3 3/4 wide and 4 3/4 tall was the right size for my piece. Okay, so we're just going to pop that out of the way, remove, and I had to write that down. So 3 3/4 by 4 3/4. And do I want a completely plain mat? Answer, absolutely not. So I'm just going to, this is a corner rounder punch, and I'm just going to neatly corner around all of these. There we are. So that gives me that, and then I am going to grab a stamp. She says she's got lots of stamps working here. There we are. So it doesn't matter whether you choose a red rubber stamp or a clear stamp. These happen to all be by Stamperia, but use whatever you have to hand. And I am going to use some vintage photo. And I don't want the whole thing, so I'm just going to pick up bits of it and add just a little bit of detailing with that ink pad. And I did have a block out, and then so where I don't want full coverage from the stamp, I use my hand, and where I want a proper image, I will use a block. So I can now add just a little bit of extra detail onto this piece. and I'm going to mop that up because I'll have an awful mess if I don't. And I know that because I edged my papers, I'm just going to ruffle up the edges. I'm not going to add ink around the edges of these because I haven't round the papers, so to me it doesn't need it, but you know, be my guest if that will work for you. And I will keep the use, I might mix the stamps up a little bit, but inherently I will work using the same sets of stamps, and I can pop that over there or in the centre, and I tend to like things just off centre, personal preference. And of course you can make these into pockets if you want to. Hello Wanda, welcome. How is Alabama today? I hope that you are warm, safe and dry. There we are. Now I've got my embellishments on this side, so when I close, the bulk is going to be on that side, if that makes sense. So I know that I can add a little bit more detail on this side quite happily to help align things and make them all vaguely similar. They don't have to be identical, but for me there needs to be a bit of cohesiveness. So there we are. I might not, so we're just going to add that, a little piece of that, and we'll add a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and then we'll add some flowers. And this is why my albums take me just a little bit of time. So we're just adding, as I say, this is just a torn piece of an old book that would otherwise end up in landfill because it can't be easily recycled. Little bit of lace to here, and then we'll add a little die cut flower into here. And like I say, I could add words, and I've got set some words to add if I want to, but you don't need to. And if you leave, the advantage of leaving it wordless is that you've got yeah, you've got options then, haven't you, to, you know, for adding and not adding. So there we are. So let us just add a little bit, some of these little flowers, and you will go, because I'm layering and I'm putting lots to a page, you will add into things as you go, and that's fine. Let's just pop the lid onto that. So that gives us our first pages, our inside front cover and the next bit. So let us grab the next one. If I pop that off to the side. So for in the paper collect pad there are these elements designed for journaling, whatever. Anyway, all I've done is cut it out. It's got a wonky edge, and that's just fine. So that's going to be given an even more wonky edge. Thanks, Archangel. Don't you worry. Life is busy, isn't it? Life is busy. So we'll just give that a little scruffle up, and I've scored it 1 inch from the top because that seems logical. And let's just have a repeat of this process. Get that into there nicely. So we're just going to corner around everything, and I could have done this ahead of time, but you know, it's unrealistic to have everything fully all prepped, and also it doesn't give you the sense of where we're going. So we'll pop that over there, and we're going to pick up the same sets of stamps. Now when I'm doing this, I'm thinking about, I know that I'm going to pop that like that, that like that, and I'm going to pop this upright over here. So I need a nice image down here and a little bit on this side just poking out. So that's where my brain is going. A dangerous place, my brain, I think. Here we are. So we will just add, we might put the text up the right way, that might vaguely help. So we can add a little bit of text there. Okay. I think this might be a very, don't fall off, I might have to wash that stamp. Right, this is going to be one of them days. There we are. add that into the, these are Stamperia stamps that I'm using, and we'll clear that mess before it gets everywhere, because it will do. There we are. And you don't want this to be a sort of multitude of different things. So this piece is going to sit down here, so we can, whilst the other page is drying, we can pop this into here. There we are. And that's going to go over there. So that will sit neatly into there. And then we've got this, which I've created and made into a flap. Okay. So that is going to hook over the top of there. And I'm not going to add a pull to this because it's already wonky edged and I don't think it's going to work. But you could add quite happily an extra piece to it. It's entirely up to you. And we'll take, we might not have enough of these overall, but hey ho. There we are. And we're going to keep things cohesive. Oof, she says, unknotting everything. So there we are. Let's see what we've got. I've got more I can die cut out quite happily. So let's just see where we go. We could leave this simple, or we can add some flowers into this corner, just as a little extra embellishment. Poke a little leaf in. That will work quite nicely. Stick a little bit of text underneath it, and I'm not going to add a little bit of lace here, so because you don't need to add everything to every page. So that will go into there. We might have to, I've left my dies out, that's okay. So we'll add that into there. So we're adding just some little extra embellishments as we go, keeping all within the colour theme. There we are. And there. And now I can pick up my book. This page should be reasonably dry. Turn this over, and that will now sit into there. And I've now got space for one photograph here, a photograph here, and a photograph underneath there. And they're a great size for the little scalpy printers. So yeah, oops, she says. So there we are, we'll just add that into there, that into there. And I think if you're gifting an album that doesn't have photographs in, adding the extra details onto your pages makes a big difference to what's going on. So this one, as I say, interest one side, plain the other. So this is a plain piece. And do I want it that side, or do I want it that side, or do I want it up right that way? I think we'll probably have it up that way. And I think I had it, looking at that, I've had it to go that with that colour because that's the way I've distressed the edges. So there we are. Let's just pop this onto here. There we are. And you could, you know, if you wanted to make an extra pocket, you could easily do so. Just glue on 3 sides, and then you've got an extra space to do that. So let's just take our hole punch, find some extras, put that where I can see it, not where I can't. So we might pop that there, or we could put that actually offset and up there, which I think we might do. So we'll just add some of that there. Clean the mess. It is definitely going to be one of those days, so we'll just pop that into there, that into there, that into there, that into there. And the joy of a new distress oxide is that one ink and you have lots of thing. So that can go over there, or it could go up there. I think I'm going to pop it over there just because that's what I think. Hi Tracy, thank you for joining us. Hello Angela, I think I missed you coming in. It's really difficult to see everyone coming in, so I don't need to line everything up. I can pop that over there because that will work for me quite nicely, and then I can have an embellishment cluster lurking over here. So I want a little bit of maybe, yeah, maybe one, two, it's probably about 5 centimeters worth of lace. So it's not a big amount. We'll add a little bit. I think we're going to pop that underneath there like that, and it's just a pretty way of, you know, just adding a little bit of interest. If you're like me, you've got all sorts of stuff squirreled away in your stash that you bought for good reason at the time. Yeah, but actually, there we are. We'll pop that over there. And let's just pop a couple of flowers. Let's see where we're going. There we are. We think we might just keep this really quite simple here and not add anything extra. I could add a leaf, but I don't need to. So that can go there. That can go there. We're just building little bits. Let's just straighten that text because otherwise it'll do my head in. From there, okie dokie. So that can go out of the way, and that can come. These are the next 2 pages. Okay, cool. So there we are. We're gonna. I like the blue, so we're gonna have lots of blue in this album. That is just fine. We'll pop it that way round. And just because I've got, yeah, you don't have to have everything all landscape or all portrait, because actually we quite often find that we've got images that we've taken that are maybe not, yeah, all portrait. Let me just sit that in there and get it neatly corner rounded. It's going to be one of those, isn't it? It's my bad for with cutting. There we are. These are actually watercolor. This is actually watercolor card, so it has a depth to it. There we are. And my bad, because I didn't add any text, any scratches to the other one. So remind me when I did on the front, the first one. So I know I want this piece to sit in this orientation. Yeah. So when I'm doing my stamping now, I'm going to think about how I place my pieces, because that's how I want it. And this is why I didn't just do them all up front, because this is going to allow me to have my stamping orientated the way I want it to. Here we are. On my page. There we are. Rather than having, yeah, pre-stamping them and all being exactly the same way, if that makes sense. So there we are. I'll pop that over there. So that is going to go up towards the top of there, and we will scruffle the edges. Hello Miriam, thank you for joining us. Don't worry Angela, we all have awful intermittent issues from time to time. It's just the way of the world, and I have a feeling that the weather in the UK may not be helping us at all. This collection is so pretty, Art Angel, so pretty. It's a very, although it's being marketed by Stamperia as a new collection, actually it's a re-released one. And I've had it in my stash a long time. So that's going to be one side. Now before I embellish that, I'm going to sort out its companion page, which is this one. Okay, So let me just explain the madness here, because there is some madness. So this is a scrap of paper. It was 4 inches tall. It was a cut off from the piece that I used to cover the outside of, you know, the cardboard for the covers. And all I've done is taken a pair of scissors and freehand cut this edge. Yeah, and this gives me 2 pieces to add into it. So I can pop one piece reverse sided over there, and another piece like so, and I've got myself, and if I just offset them slightly, lift them up a little bit, I've got myself 2 pockets that coordinate with my paper very easily from one piece of 4-inch by piece of paper. So that just allows it. So I'm going to scruffle the edge of that and the side, and I'm deliberately going to glue this up here just a little bit, and I'm going to add the glue all the way around, and just pop that up to there, onto there, and make sure that my second piece is going to cover it, because that way you don't need a whole length, which seems to me to make sense and is an economical process for doing that. Yeah, and then we can add this, and yeah, I've got my music up the wrong way, but actually, does it matter? Answer no. Okay, so we're now going to, so we've now created a double pocket page, really simply. Didn't require any fancy dies, though they have their place. I'm not going to knock it and say they don't, but it just means that I've created those easily. And so we're going to add some tags into those, and we're going to add a top spot photograph place, call it what you want. So let's just carry on going round. There we, oh, that's not nice. You need to make sure you put your pieces into your corner rounder properly rounded. There we are. Excellent. So this is going to tuck in the top, so I need the bulk of my detail on the top. We can have a little bit there and a little bit down there. That bit's not going to show. Does it matter? Answers no. But there we are, and that will work. And we'll just add a little bit there and a little bit onto there. We'll give this a little scruffle. So that will sit into there, or that can sit into there. It's going to sit into that one better, and that's equally fine. So let's just revert to our punches and add some extra bits to our tags. 1, 2, 3. Oh, we've managed to not lose half of those. That's always a positive. Excuse me, picking off bits off there. And this is just a really easy way, good way of just using up lots of the bits that you've got. I mean, obviously, there we are. Well, I might have, you know, but adding reinforcement to your pieces as you go. So I think we might add that one onto there. So let's just give that a little squash dry. Give that a little push. Hi Kim, thank you Wanda, much appreciated. And she says, can she now? Oh, that's what she's done with it. That's what I've done with it. There we are. We'll poke that out of there. Hi Betty, thank you for joining me. It's lovely. So I think my going live at 3 in the UK is possibly a good time for my American friends. I don't know how good it is for my UK friends. It's never easy, is it? Thank you, Joan, for reminding Kim. It's much appreciated. There we are. We've got a good number of people watching now. It's lovely, lovely. I do worry each time I decide to go live whether I'm going to be talking to myself. As I say, we could be here a wee while today because we've got a lot of pages to do. When you get fed up, just say, and I'll stop. I might plan to stop at 2 hours regardless, ladies. It's incredibly hard to find a time that suits everyone. Very definitely is hard to find a time that works for everyone. 10 o'clock in the morning in the UK is a really good time because very few other people go live. But thanks, Judith. Yeah, well, maybe I'll move it to the afternoon because that allows me to do other things in the morning. I don't know what other people think, really. It's so, as I said before, for the ladies that join me, I add the little circles of paper when I'm adding pulls to paper tags because it just reinforces them. It gives them a little bit more strength. And I always knot my strings into place because if you just do a lark's head knot and don't add that extra knot, then actually they have a horrible habit of coming out over time. You like your Sunday morning, but never up at 10. Sounds like we might have a plan there, ladies, then, wouldn't it? So that can go there, that can go there, that can go there, into there. So that is our next 2 pages. We will be adding a little bit of decorative element to that. So you can see, once you've got your basic concept for these and your paper's cut, actually they're not too difficult. Definitely better than the basic brown reinforcers. And who doesn't have a small circle punch in their stash? So why not use it? It just seems to me to be a very useful activity to do that. There we are. So there we are. So I've reversed this. I've got simple one side, but again I've got simple one side and prettier, embellished, alternative, interactive on the other side. So to me, I've got embellishments on these, so I need to add some extra pieces onto here. So that's what we're going to do. Cool. I might have to turn a fan off in a minute because it's rather warm next to me. There's a group in the UK called Splattered Inky. I think it's Splattered Inky. She does lots of very lovely, don't want that one, that's a messy one. She does lots of very lovely lace packs and altered ribbon packs, and they're not stupidly priced. What did I do with that nice piece of lace that I chopped? Disappearing magic, isn't it, really? Disappearing magic. I've got plenty more lace, so there we are. So we'll add a little, it'll appear. It will appear. It will appear. I think I want that there, on that side. We'll add, let's just move that up there, add a little bit of that there, make sure that's straight, pop that onto there. And could I have cut all of these, made all my own flowers? Yeah, I could, but sometimes life is short, isn't it? So there we are, let's go with one of them, and one of them. and a bit of that, because why not? There we are. I'll just add some little bits, and I'm being, you know, some of this, if you're adding a photo, yeah, will get covered, but it doesn't matter, does it? It doesn't matter. There we are, onto there, and this one I'm not going to add. Let's take that off there, and I'm rather liking those, so we'll just add, I think we're going to add them like that. There we are. Cool. So that's 2 more different pages. So this is our next set of pages, and all I've done really is taken the lead from the papers. So this piece of paper actually has a big circular image, which I didn't particularly want. This comes from it, but it's clearly landscape, so I've cut it out, scored it 1 inch, folded it over. It doesn't need a flippy flap puller, it's quite robust enough. So that I'm deliberately going to pop down towards the bottom. Doesn't have to be in the centre. And then let's just add this. She says, can she see a corner rounder? Can she? There we are. Too many bits on the desk, but that's just life. I am going to have to turn my fire off in a minute because I'm too hot. So just bear with while I drop down and turn that off. It's not very often in this at this time of the day you'd suggest that I might be too hot. Let's put that where I can't fail to see it. She says, knowing full well she will be able to fail to see it. So there we are. Let's take that. So this piece I'm going to have sitting up here. So that defines my main area over here, and a little bit poking out in this corner. So that's cool. That just helps. So we'll add some text there and some text up there. We'll take our flower and ink it. That wasn't quite what we were required to do, but hey ho, there we are. That can go there. That can go there. That can tuck over there. That can sit over there. There. You see, you end up with so much stuff. 5 to 8 inches snow. And she's like, they threatened that we were going to get snow this week, but it didn't. Well, a bit of sleety stuff arrived, but not proper, decent, usable skiing snow. That's for certain. There we are. So that piece can go up there. I think it's an inevitable part of crafting, Judith. You know, you end up with stuff all over the place. So you can add a photo mat here if you want to. You could make that into a pocket. It's up to you. We've got a nice image here. I'm conscious I've got lots more bits to do and not so many die cut elements. So it needs to be cohesive. So what I would say is once you start embellishing, you sort of have to continue with the process, which is always adds to the fun. But they don't all have to be identical. There we are. So we'll add that and that onto there. Do you ski? Yes, I do ski. Absolutely, I do ski. I love that. My knee doesn't like me skiing, really doesn't like me skiing nowadays. But hey ho. There we are. So let's just add a couple of those onto there. My children used to ski with the local race team, so we've got the indoor slope in Manchester. My daughter works there. She is a qualified ski instructor. I used to have to live there when the kids were young because they did race teams twice a week, training, etc. Yeah, it kept me occupied, that is for certain. So this piece, that's its companion page, so I'm going to pop that over there. So that doesn't, for me, that means that I don't need to worry too much about the direction, the orientation of my extra embellishments, because ultimately I'm going to be able to see both sides of it. So angle it the way you are. I tend to have one up, one down, and make a mess of it. Just as well it's double-sided, isn't it? We'll try again. We'll try again, because we don't want a mess. One up, one down. There we are. Stick that safely over there. Put that over there. Take that off the mouse, otherwise I might disappear on you. Yeah, well, we don't get a lot of slope, but it's called chill factor. Sister slope is in Milton Keynes, and of course the snow slope that Chemi Alcott trained on at up in Edinburgh has now shut. Okay, so could make that into a pocket. I'm not going to, because I've got a flap here. So there we are, that's going to sit over there. Oh, there it is. Here we are. So let's just pop that piece onto there. That's going to cross over there. Let's just add a little bit of that. Into there. She says. We'll add our lace going across there, and we'll pick up a couple of flowers. So by keeping my embellishments the same, and these packs of small flowers from Prima, where you get lots of them, actually work out really cost effective. The big ones don't, because you just need too many and they're too bulky. But let's just wipe that before we get ink everywhere. But the small packs of flowers from Prima or any other company are really very useful. So that can go over there, and those are going to go into there. So let's just pop that over there. Centralise into there. Now our bodies definitely don't always do what you want. You know, when you sort of think, oh, I can get down onto the floor, but then you have to think, how easy is it going to be for me to get back up? You know that time's going. I have just been signed up for a personal best program at the gym, which requires me to do lots of stretching, and the suggestion was that I went and did some yoga classes. Wow, that might prove a tad too much for my brain, but do aqua 3 or 4 times a week. Oh, Kirkstall regularly floods, doesn't it, my darling? It's difficult to stay safe all of the time. So cool. From that one to that one. Hey, we've nearly got halfway through. Ha 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 ha. She says, joyful. Let's just pop that one over there. So this is the joy, isn't it, of doing an album. Because if you make an album live, you're inevitably going to you know, doing lots of pages, each page takes a certain amount of time, and there isn't an easy way of short-circuiting it. You could, I guess, do them over a series of lives, but I'd get, quite frankly, fed up. It didn't take much for me to get fed up. Do I want that down there? Do I want it up? I'm going to pop it over there. So let us just add a little bit of text from there. Hello, Anchor Art Creations. Hi, Christine. Welcome. Thank you for joining my page. Would you like to tell us whereabouts in the world you are, my darling? Because we're all nosy, but actually because it's nice to know what we're up to. So does that mean that Archangel, do you know Christine? Welcome, welcome. My name, there we are. So there we are. We'll add just some stamping. So this is definitely a shabby chic effect style album. It is, I think, for album making, the style that most of you will have seen. Fall River, Massachusetts, lovely. I will, at some stage after the live, I will click in and follow you, my darling. I won't dare do it during the course of a live, because I might just do something, and technology is not my biggest forte, as everyone else absolutely knows. So the next thing that we have in the Stamperia paper pads, along with the tags and the topper pieces, quite often is circular pieces, which are lovely if you want a circle. But most of us don't use circles unless we're using them as a standalone topper. But it will make quite a nice flippy flap. So Judith, I used to live in Fernville, so near Roundhay. I trained at Jimmy's. I was the first surgeon on Jimmy's to ever do an appendicectomy for the for television. So I know. So these two circular pieces, again, all I've done is cut my circles out from the paper pad and scored them at 1 inch, because it gives me a functional flap. Yeah, and you could put magnets down to hold them in place, but I'm not going to, because that's what I feel like. But you could if you wanted to. I'm not mithered. It's an accordion album, so I will just add some text top and bottom. Doesn't matter if we layer it over. That will need a little bit more of an ink. Thank you, Sue. I think sometimes it is. I think, yeah. I've ummed and ahed about whether I should, whether it's fair. You know, I've clearly, you know, I've paid and done a lot of classes, and I am very much aware that there are crafters whose livelihood is very definitely based on being able to teach their lessons. This isn't a take on, you know, a copy of anyone else's project. This is absolutely all of my own. Thank you, my darling. Yeah, absolutely my own album from start to finish, but it is a composite of things that I have learned from other creatives over time, and that I've paid to do. So that one is going to sit to the top of there. But so I think it's difficult, isn't it? So yeah, I ummed and ahed long and hard before deciding whether that I would share the albums live, because I don't want to cause problems for those creatives who are completely dependent on live streaming, online classes, face-to-face classes for their income. That doesn't seem to me to be fair, right, or proper. But on the other hand, yeah, we do, not everyone can afford to do those classes. I'm also aware of that. So, it's also good to share the skill set that you've learned over many years. As I say, it's always a composite, ideas. Some of you may well realise who the main inspiration for my style is, and that is the lovely Art de Rota. There's no question that she heavily influences this style with all its shabby pieces, but there comes a stage where you've done enough classes to be able to then take and adapt and modify what you're doing. So the style that you've learnt becomes adapted and it becomes your style. And that's really, I think, the art of being able to create, isn't it? Is that so I'm going to pop that up onto there. And the key to this style is being cohesive with your embellishments. Yeah. Now I have sort of committed a sin because these are going to butt into each other if I'm not very careful, but we'll hopefully will not have too big a headache. There we are, by doing that. There we are. We'll pop those over there in Great Album. There we are. And I might, because I think it's going to sit better, do that. And as you can see, I'm using the inside cover. Now the problem with the older Stamperia collections is that they have very few words in them, so if you like titles, they aren't particularly good from that point of view. And they had no fussy cut elements. Yeah, unlike the current ones where you've got lots of fussy cut elements on your back pages. So there we are. So, one side. Second side. Sorry, ladies. Right, so let's just leave those to dry. Let's just pop that over there for the time being and carry on. What I might do is I might go live in the week and do the album cover in the week. Hi Rima, welcome, 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 welcome. This is definitely a paper craft live today rather than a wholly mixed media piece. Yeah, I'm mixing stamps, ribbon, glue, all sorts of other pieces together, so it fits globally within the concept of mixed media, I guess, but it's definitely more paper based, though I am going to be using on the covers other things. And I'm looking at the time thinking we might have to do the covers another time because I have an online class tonight with the lovely Vasilis Kontos, who is going to be making over 2 days some candles, altered Easter eggs, candles and candle holders using some beautiful, beautiful products. I think so. There's probably still time for people to join him if they send Vasilis Kontos a personal message. Rima, would you pop his name down for me? That would be lovely. The class is €30, payable by PayPal, and it'll start at, I think, probably around 6 UK time, but then it will go on for about 4 hours tonight and there'll be another 4 hours tomorrow. So actually I think €30, which works out about 25 quid in the UK for 8 hours of tuition, is nothing. And I think he's going to mix the styles up quite a lot. So yeah, so same approach as I used before. Piece cut from the from the album, double-sided. So when you're doing like this double-sided, I'm going to hop this up like that and flick so that I can still use that and the text is all the right way. If I pop this in here like that, my flower with its stems upside down. So hence the reason I've chosen. It's 8 his time, which is Greece Jones, so that will be 6 o'clock in UK time. So he might be slightly late because he often is, bless him. But yeah, and it is a bargain. It absolutely is a bargain. 8 hours of expert tuition for 25 quid. And you'll learn masses and masses of techniques with him. At the end of the day, he was one of my first. Well, to be fair, the first person who I ever did any mixed media with was Finnebear, and I went to classes with Finnebear at Art from the Heart in Harrogate. 2014, I'm thinking. Yeah, I think 2014, and yeah, I think it was 2014. And then I enjoyed what I did. I went back and did a few more classes with her, but the style wasn't, you know, I think I prefer the more shabby, prettier end of the spectrum. So it wasn't totally my style, but I learned masses from doing those classes. And then I saw a sewing machine that Vasilis had altered, and I was hooked, and he came over to the UK to teach, and we say was the start of the downhill, really, my total addiction to Pentart. And I have him to thank for being part of Pentart's creative team, because I undoubtedly wouldn't have been without his support and him suggesting to Pentart that they really did need some creatives who spoke English on their lives, because it was clearly going to help their international marketing if people could understand them. It might be a slightly different piece of lace, but hey ho, we've turned the page, so we'll swap to a different one because it's at least on a different side. There we are, so we can pop that there. Let's just take piece of text, I think it's probably just a tad too long. Let's just pop that onto there, that onto there, make sure we've got the words vaguely parallel to the bottom. Let's just take a piece of die cut. There we are. I'm loving this blue because it really pops against those colours. So there we are. There we are. I'll stick that into there. I might use a piece of that thinner. Oh, totally. You can always learn style. Yeah. And techniques, totally. And for some products, it's so worthwhile. It really is worthwhile just taking a class to learn how to use products properly. There we are. Because otherwise, yeah, we buy products and we forget how to use them. So we're just going to turn our book over, and so now we can see the the joining hinges, but actually by the time I've popped these pieces in, you're not going to notice them. So it's just, and it's because you've used the same card, it's the same colour, because I used chopped up card, a chopped up card to do that, so I know the hinges is exactly the same colour as everything else. And I've got a robust hinge that's going to stand the test of time without needing to go and buy lots of fancy materials. Yeah, do I have Tyvek? Yes, I do. Do I have bookbinding tape? Yes, I do. Could I use it instead? Absolutely, yes, I could. But this one I wanted to be a back to basics, simple, easy, you know, no fuss, no messing about. Yeah, I'm sorely tempted, but I'm just a little concerned about those 19cm eggs arriving to the UK safely. So that's going to be up the right way, but that's going to flip. So I want that side on the top. There we are. So this is what I did for my other pocket. I just went up and down with a wonky angle because it doesn't matter. So same length as the card, 4-inch strip which was cut off from the piece. That will go onto there. I'm only going to join it at the two ends because that way it'll look like a pocket, but actually the depth of the pocket this time is going to be the whole depth of the page as opposed to part of the depth of the page. So that just needs to slide down. So now I have my two pockets created from one piece of paper, and it becomes very economical. No dies required. There we are. Cool. There we are. Okie dokie. So I have some more of those. So what did I do with that scrap of paper? That's that scrap of paper. So let's just, and when you're doing an album, you just do need to be consistent with what you're doing. So if you add your rings to tags, do it for all of the tags. Otherwise things begin to look sort of a bit of a hot mess and not very cohesive. Whereas this way everything ends up with a similar sort of feel, and that's quite helpful. I'll take that onto there. And you know, if you were making this not on a live as I am, you could set up a production line and do, you know, all your corner rounding, all your stamping. I just like to do it this way because what it allows me to do is put the stamping where I want it for that page. But you know, you do you, as I say. Overall, let's let those dry a little bit while we just pop some stamping onto here. I think Jo Rowe is going to order the Myers papers in. I sent her a list of the ones I wanted, Angie, so hopefully she can get those. She's going to let me know on Monday. Otherwise I shall be messaging the lovely Vasilis and saying, please. Please, please, pretty please, will you get them for me? And he is a sweetheart, and he will. There we are. So let's just scruffle that. I have to say that postage and grease is not so reliable. It tends to take a wee while. That might be Vasilis as much as anything else. So let's just pop that into there. We are making progress. As long as you don't mind it being forever for me to, as I say, I just don't see how you can do an album from scratch without it taking a while. Now I'm conscious that I said lark's head knot, and some of you might not know what a lark's head knot is. So basically a lark's head knot is you take your loop of thread, pop it through the hole, open up the loop and feed the tails through, and that's the posh name, is a lark's head knot for doing that. And then I always, to stop it unravelling, just do an extra knot. They do, darling, they do. But I could do what Terry does. You know, Terry likes, he does loads of lives, so altering lots of different pieces beautifully, absolutely beautifully. You know, and just go online for a couple of hours and then finish it another time. I'm just impatient. I don't like part finished projects lying around, so I generally prefer to have everything finished. So there we are. So we now have some tags to sit in there as well. My feet are beginning to tell me. So if I had, I took the time to set this up because this is going to take long enough to put together as it is. So I did make sure that I had taken enough time to to set the pages up how I wanted them, because otherwise, yeah, that took another good hour and a bit out of the time. So I just think that was my compromise for doing everything live, because if I had to cut every single piece of paper during the live, you really would completely lose the will to live. That's okay in my book for a taught class. There we are, and then we'll cover some of. No, we'll do that and that. There we are. We'll add some, but it's maybe not what you want to do necessarily for. As I say, it would just take that bit extra time wise to do that. So I think that sometimes you just have to be prepared to. She buys there at the moment. She's very clean. Good afternoon, Sarah. Hello, darling. She buys here at the moment from Shop in Scotland. They are all on offer. What's all on offer, Joan? I've missed the first part of that conversation. There is a very lovely multi-scrap shop, isn't there? Up in Scotland, who stocks the lovely Finnabair products. A lot of my stuff has come in from Ireland over time, rather than necessarily being from. I'm going to add that way, just to be difficult. Hello, Renee. Welcome, my darling. Is it a better time now for the ladies in the States? It would have been 9 o'clock when I went live this morning. This afternoon in the UK. Let me just There we are. Theodora can go that way. There we are. Let's see what we've got. We've got some bits. We might just add that bit there. We're going to add the whole of that from here. There we are. Thank you, Blanche. I don't know that you've ever really seen me make an album, have you, my darling? It's a joy. It's certainly a labour of love. So let's just pop. And we might just have to reconvene in the week, ladies, for there we are. We'll just pop that onto there, pop that over there, pop that there. Do we want a blue? We're going to have a little blue one over there. You see why I say get packets of small flowers rather than big flowers, because if you're adding 2 or 3 per page, you will certainly go through them. And that is for sure. There we are. There we are. Can you can you do a beginner's class with tags and albums? Oh, this is an album, Rima. It's a concertina album. But yeah, I can do a beginner's tag class. And what I'm intending doing, my darling, is mixing my lives up. So I will do a predominantly paper glass mini album process. At least once a month, and the rest of them will be more mixed media. But yeah, we can certainly do that. It's not a problem at all. This one is not complicated, although it looks like it is, but the construction of the book isn't, so that's on there already. There we are. And there's just lots of steps involved, but that's fine, isn't it, when you're doing things? Beginner. Yeah, okay, darling. So it's difficult, isn't it? Because this to me is so not complicated, but I get that that's probably because I'm really used to doing them. So this is another one where if I put it that way round and opened it, you could possibly get away with the flower that way, but I didn't like it, so I'm going to have the flower on the outside. But yeah, we can do a very simplified one. We might start with a little folio, and we're going to pop you into the middle as opposed to off to the side, and I'm going to pop that up there. She says, can she see a hole? What's she done with the hole punch? There we are. So we've got too much stuff on the table. But yes, I'll message you and we'll work out where you want to start, Rima. Because when you've been making albums for a while, what you think is easy, because to me this is easy, is not necessarily for someone who's not done them before. And I think it's a headache for teachers that they sometimes forget that actually what is second nature to them may not necessarily be second nature for others. There we are. So let's just pop that one into there. And of course these little hidden areas that allow you to then tuck maybe slightly risque pictures into place. Dare I say that word? Yeah, I think I dare. we are. And there really isn't a rationale to how I'm pulling these pieces apart. I am literally just using, you know, what I have. Now, I think this piece of lace is too big, so I'm going to just give it a little haircut, because I think it's a better size. I think this concertina one is accordion fold is really easy. What I would say is, if you're really not used to making albums or journals, then the lovely Liz Wheeler has a set of templates. They're called Journal It templates, and if you're in the UK, then obviously you can get those relatively easily. And she does a sort of an album stroke journal live most weeks using them. Now, she uses lots of techniques in her pieces. Her style is very different to mine, but you'll still learn masses. But then they tend to be journals, not albums. But I will build the album set over time. I think we'll have we will have some lives, where I just deliberately do build, and we'll work from there. And some will be simple, some will be more complicated. It will just, there we are. But as I say, you could just set these up to just do a whole mountain. You could add some splatters if you wanted, or not, as the case may be. You know, it's entirely up to you really when you're doing things like this. So here we are, we're just going to add that over there. And that can go into that reasonably evenly on there. So, oh dear, she says, we've obviously had something wet on there. Don't ask me what, but we obviously have. Oh, my baby wipes, that'll be what's wet on there, won't it, you daft bat? So let's just add a nice piece of text to there. So you can see that, you know, I'm building little clusters of embellishments. Where was that scrappy piece that I chopped off? You know, gone walkabouts, hey ho. There we are. Let's just, that's a better pair of scissors. That is definitely a better pair of scissors. Stick it over there. And we'll pop that from there down. Hey, we are getting there, ladies. Hello, Martin. Welcome, my darling. Didn't see you sneaking in. I trust you're not feeling so bad. I know you've had a bit of a rough week, haven't you, overall? But there we are. Hey, hey. Biscuits. Yeah, I haven't had any biscuits today. Unless you call a peanut butter tracker a biscuit. I suppose it might be. My cholesterol is higher than it should be, according to my nice GP. I need to behave and shift some weight. The joys of getting old. But my cardiac risk is normal. So it's not, that doesn't give me the incentive to do anything, really, does it? When your cardiac risk is, you're told your cardiac risk is normal. But hey ho. There we are. Pop that into there, she says. The joy of the fact that these are distress oxides rather than a permanent mix. When you make a squidgy mess, you can lift it off out of the way. You'd be delighted to know, ladies, we've only got 2 more pages to go. Ha ha! Hee hee! Right. So so I set my pages up, some with just a photo mount, some with a flap, some with pockets, because it's a really good way then of using lots of the pieces that you have in, particularly in your Stamperia paper pads, because they're really good at putting lots of stuff in, aren't they? Really good. And having lots of cuttable elements, and often double-sided cuttable elements, which are fine if that's what you want, but maybe not if you just want it as a background. But this way I can use all of these pieces up, and you know, I've got very little left from my paper pad now. I think I've got a cover, and I've got some of the circles. But it allows you then to use everything. The florally stamp that I'm actually using here is actually from their Christmas release, so not love related at all. And that is the joy of having generic flowers and generic text stamps in your stash. I think they're the ones that I go to time and time and time again. That's helpful, isn't it, Joan? Maybe he should be doing something about his. Maybe. There we are. So that's going to go there. And because I've done my stamping as I've gone, I know I wanted a focal here and a focal here. So it's allowed me just to do that rather than to have to... I'm just looking for another piece of book paper rather than getting another page out. Not that the book cost me a small fortune, because it certainly did not. There we are. Because it came from, that'll be a charity shop. So there's that half a piece that I chopped off, so that can sit onto there. It's the same colour from that. Come on, come on, sit down nicely. There we are. There we are. Okay. So, oh dear. So I've put that on a wet wipe. Really, woman, you are useless. That was not very intelligent. So I'm wanting to add a pocket to this side of here. This is one of the cut-offs from the album cover, and I know that my piece is 14.5 centimeters high because that was what I cut for the bases. And at this point I can make a decision. Do I want that way? And I could fussy cut down there, or do I want it that way and chop that lot off? So logically I'm going to do that. And I could do the same approach to that I did elsewhere. But I'm just going to cut myself a wavy line to pop onto there. And I could add another piece under there. Comes that. So all I've done here is reorientate the direction that I used for the other one. Yeah. So I want the full depth pocket. So I'm just going to put some glue on each side and pop that there, because that will go into there. And it just goes, you know, I could have got out a set of dies to do all of that, but actually, yeah, a pair of scissors just adds a little layer of interest, doesn't it? Doesn't need to be overly fancy from there. is definitely not happy with myself for getting that wet, but hey ho. Now I do have some tags left that I could add in. I've got some circles left, but I've actually got 2 pieces of my 3 3/4 by 4 3/4 watercolour card that I'm going to tuck in to my pieces. So let me just pop one. In nice. So there we are. So it helps to talk to things, ladies, and gentlemen. It really does help to talk to things. I suspect Anthony, who joined us right at the beginning, has long since given up and gone off to look after his beautiful boys, and very, very sensible. So that side is the bit that's going to poke out. So logically, that is the side that I want to do the decorating. So let's just add a little bit of text down those sides. Could add a bit on the other side. I'm not going to, because as I say, they're not going to be overtly visible. So let's just add a little bit of that there and a little bit of that there. Then we'll have a little bit of a wipe because we've got brown water ink everywhere that will make a mess. We'll pick up those. Now, I've been online, ladies, for nearly 2 hours, which I think to make an album to this stage is pretty darn good, really. Excuse my French. So that can go into there. I'll stick one up, one down, squash those down. So at this point we've got some choices for the rest of the days. You can watch me do some painting, and I'll add some details to the front cover and the back cover, or we can stop and I can do that at another time. The choice is yours. What would you prefer? Thank you, Joan. That's a lovely thing to say. I think it's, yeah, there's definitely an art to doing lives, because you have to be able to talk and craft and watch what's going on and try and be in 2 places at once. Okie dokie. So, we have our album that goes this way, that way, on a continuous loop. Yeah, you're happy watching. Cool. Okay, okay. So we can leave this as a plain thing, or we can get the bits that I've pre-prepared. Ooh, ah, ooh, ah, ooh, ah. Let's just shuffle some of this out of the way. Pop that out of the way. Pop that out of the way. Do I need the scissors now? I will need them for that bit. Oh, that's where I put my glasses. That's always good. Right, excellent. So, oh, she says breaking off a piece of that, but never mind, that won't matter. You're happy here knitting, what, she? Happy? I'm more than happy. I don't like leaving things part done, ladies, I have to say. So I've got these big heart pieces are beautiful. They're cast from resin because that's my preference, and they have been primed with bonding primer. And then from Dadakar Arts or Love Shabby Chic on Etsy, I have a mould that's got these pretty roses and leaves in it. It's a big mould, and I'm not going to say it's not expensive, because for its size it isn't, but it's not a small amount of money. But, and we're going to do front and back. This mould has this huge mould in it, heart in it, and then 4 smaller ones. I think it's a fabulous value. So I'm going to pop this onto here. I'm going to layer ribbon underneath it. and I'm debating whether to go with that, which is a very soft white, or that which is the ivory. And I'm thinking that actually the ivory is going to work better for me for these. They're lovely. Hello, Anthony. Have you been here all the way along, or have you been nipped off to look after your lovely boys and then come back in? But it's just as I'm making moulds, it's a beautiful mould. Is it my most, I don't know. I mean, it is definitely a statement piece. It's completely symmetrical. So the live I did for Pentart, where I made the Valentine's, you could just do one of these and put them back to back with some ribbon in the middle and make yourself a beautiful hanging ornament, because it is symmetrical, and that would be lovely. So we're going to keep this simple today. I might need to grab some wax. I haven't got any wax. How dare I not have any wax out? We're not going brown today because I actually don't think it works for this. And this isn't going to take me forever, I don't think. We might have to do a little bit of drying, but we've got a whole popped in and out. Very sensible, because we have been wittering away for quite a little bit. And it has been a very paper based. Your return time was impeccable though, because I have literally just got out the moulded pieces. There we are. So that's given them a nice coat of ivory coloured paint. Give that a little bit of, that can sit there to dry. We'll just lid that. We're not going complicated today. So here, this pink, which is cherry blossom, works very nicely with those. So let us just grab another brush from the mountain on the floor. Oh, well, maybe we won't be using that, because naughty woman that I am, I'll let it go dry. So we'll use Victorian pink instead, because that will equally work. It's a bit softer colour, but it will work. And I'll have to order another one of those cherry blossoms, because I know I don't have another one of that, because it's not colour that I use hugely often. So we'll just add some paint to that. This mould is truly beautiful. I'll grab it in a minute, because we're going to have a bit of drying time in a minute, because we'll definitely need to, before I get out the, let's just pop a little bit of pink onto that bud, and then we'll get the green. So whilst those have a little bit of a chance to dry, we'll just stick that there for the moment. Let me just grab the Accordion mould. Here we are, the two moulds. So this is the heart mould that I was talking about. So you can see you've got the big mould, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 little moulds. That one's symmetrical, that one's symmetrical, those are symmetrical, these two aren't. So you could make lots of double-sided embellishments quite nicely for that. And so for the price of that, it's a good price. Let me just remove the bits that I've got in here for another project. So this is the Accordion mould. So it's available on Etsy from Love Shabby Chic. That is, I'll turn that over. That is the central floral piece from that. So you can expect to see a project with it. But there's also lots of small elements from there. It's getting dark in here. Right, let's put that out of the way somewhere safe. And let's put those out of the way, because we don't need them. It's a very, very pretty mould, Anthony. Very pretty. don't want to have that too near there. Have a smallish reasonable brush. She says, that's a smallish reasonable brush, possibly. So this is just Thorn by, it's a Thorn acrylic, and this I dried, well, took out the mould when it was flexible, and it's shaped to fit around one of the parts in the place that I want to put it. There we go. Shuffle that over there. It's very delicate. It's quite, some of the pieces are quite brittle. I haven't tried it with ordinary clay. Definitely it would be one I think you'd need to pop in the freezer to get to come out. You can see how soft it, thin it is, because even this piece, which is fully cured, is still has a degree of flex in it. Put that over there. So this is a little rosebud that comes in the set on that mould. So just have a look what you've got in your stash. You know, yeah, I've got lots of these. Just because I'm using these, you know, just use what you've got. Use a floral that you've got. Just you know, build a scene, because that's essentially what I do when I'm making. Is I literally just layer until I'm happy with my pieces. So this is a bud, so the leaf is still going up the side of it. So there we are. We'll just add that little bit of green along there, so it looks like a bud that's not quite opened from there. Don't want whatever that is on there. Excuse the noise, ladies, but it's just going to allow me to not be here at tea time. What are you like, Martin? No biscuits in my kitchen, I'm afraid. Hopefully roast chicken dinner in the cooking. Left hubby with instructions. Not sure whether he's cooking for 4 adults or 5 adults, because my daughter's boyfriend stayed last night, and I'm not sure if he was staying for tea this evening or whether he isn't staying for tea. But we'll find out sooner or later. Hubby will do tea for 6:30, and I will munch it later on whilst I'm on. So there we are. So yeah. Yeah, definitely a freezer job, I think. There we go. So we're going to keep this simple. We could add antiquing to it, but I will grab some wax in a minute. Have I got any wax up? That'll be nice. Will we be getting some? You've eaten all your shortbread. Now, Dominique, that's not on. We love a bit of shortbread in this house, that's for certain. Now, if you know that your album's going to be handled a lot, I would highly recommend that you coat your painted resin pieces or clay pieces, if that's what you've used, with a varnish. If it's not going to be handled a lot, then don't worry about it, but it would be my recommendation that you do that, because it'll just help the longevity. My pieces are primed, so it should stick reasonably well. I'm not fanatical about varnishing my albums globally, but if you are going to, then, and you know it's going to be handled a lot, particularly by children who can be, shall we say, less than delicate with things, then a layer of varnish might be a good move before you add your wax. But for the purposes of this, we're not going to. There we are. We are getting there. We are getting there. So we just need to get this lot to dry. Yummy, yummy malt loaf. I don't know, for our American ladies, do you have saurine or malt loaf? It's a UK classic. It's a staple, I think, that goes back, I don't know, I remember eating it by the bucket. I shed load as a child. Loaded with masses of proper butter. That'll do me cholesterol no good whatsoever. No good whatsoever will that one, but hey ho. I just need to get these dry. I haven't got my ring light on, but I've got the light on the book. Yeah, so can my children, and so can my children. Right, that's dry, that's dry, that's dry. Right, let's pop you on the floor with a heater whilst we do the next bit. There we are. That one's not quite dry, but it's almost dry. Let me just grab some wax. And that one pot of gold wax. There we are. So that's now has brought out lots of details. Can you see? If I lean over, I think we'll end up with, so this is literally just a little bit of wax being added. It's gone quite dark in here because the rain has started. Yeah, and there you are. As if we didn't, by encore, by special agreement, the rain has well and truly started. There we are, so a little bit of gold wax onto here, just to bring out the details. Oops, she says, throwing it all around. Right, that's going to need a little bit more. Right, bear with, because it might go a bit wonky. In fact, we might go very wonky, because my arms isn't long enough, so I do apologise, but I think we might be better off with a light. There we are. Or maybe not. Well, that wasn't very clever. Maybe, right, that's definitely not. Refocus, 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 refocus. There we are. We've refocused. Shuffle that onto there. Excellent. We'll move that down. There we are. That's better. I think it might be on the way because it's just arrived here. You must have upset the rain dragon. Yeah, absolutely. So this still a bit too wet. Yeah, absolutely, Katerina. I just needed to let the camera, which has got an auto sort out on it. It's a fabulous little webcam, courtesy of suggestions from lovely Anthony. And I really don't know why it wasn't working the other day. Top of this will be dry, if not. So if I just add ever so gently. It's not fully dry. It's my own fault for not being patient. You'll see the amazing amount of detail that there is in this mould. It's just so pretty. There we are. There is the rain. It is wax, darling. Very specifically wax, not antique paste. They are two different beasts altogether. The antique paste can be used as a wax. The wax will not wipe off, whereas antique paste will if it hasn't had ages to cure. And I will do the same to the second one. It definitely just needs a bit more of a dry. It wouldn't be England without rain. You are correct. Now, ladies, I really would advise that you let your paint dry properly before you add your wax to it. I can go back after the live and add more. There's definitely some areas where it's lifting. There we are. Right, she says, let's wipe a sticky mucky there. That's a very well used heat gun, and you are correct, it certainly is. Right, we're going to break all of the rules now because we can, but we will add a safety net because I don't really want this falling apart. So I want rather than need to add a way of closing this, because otherwise when you pick it up it's all going to sort of fall, you know, it's not going to fall apart, it's all going to spring open. So I just have some ribbons to add here. So I'm just going to pop a big blodge of hot glue there, hopefully to squidge those in, and I'm going to turn it over. Having got those in place, put another big squodge of that there and add another 2 ribbons, and then we're going to turn that over. So I can now tie my albums at the side on both sides, so I can open up one side at a time. If that makes sense. Good grief, you are being treated. A new pot of heavy body gel. Right. So we are going to add a liberal amount of this for longevity. And a big splodge of here for instant stick. So that can go into there, and that will help secure that with time. Just get rid of that. You're very welcome to steal it. You're very welcome to steal it. So now I just have to work out how I have these set. So I think we have, because these are slightly morphed as I've heated them. There we are. So that's the plan for there. So we will need a little rose down there. So the ink that my ribbons have come from Splattered Inky on Facebook. She used to have an Etsy store, and she hand dyes them all. So that's going to sit in there. That piece is going to sit onto there. And I have used heavy body gel matte, ladies. So we know that heavy body gel matte dries opaque. So I'm just going to lift off the excess for there. Right, really, right. So we might as well finish it. That can go over there. That can go over there. Let's just give this second heart. So as I say, if you didn't want to heavily embellish the cover, as I've done, then what I would suggest is that before gluing your pages in, you put your ribbons underneath the pages, so they come from underneath. The problem with that is when you tie them, they tend to pull the pages off a little bit. So it's a matter of preference for doing this. There we are. Let's just add the wax onto the top of here. I'll add it around the edges. It's not fully dry because I'm impatient soul. But hey ho, it'll work. And we're going for a shabby feel, but if you want it to be more dominant, then do just let your paint dry. And as I say, if it's going to be handled a lot, then put a layer of varnish on, water-based varnish, absolutely fine, before you put your wax on. The wax can be the last layer, it's not going to shift at all. Yeah, just there we are. But it just, this mould has just got beautiful details in it. I love it, and I've used it on a good number of projects now. There we are. Let me just wipe that. Let's put that nice brush back in there. So that is one side. There we are. That's that side. That's that side. Hot glue gun. And a bit more. And I'm deliberately not going to put embellishments on my second side. You could if you wanted to, beyond this. And I'm using, or instead of using the moulded pieces, you could just add layers of, okay, Rima, so waxes are designed to go on the surface, and once they are on the surface, they are designed not to come off. Now I know that Terry will tell you you can remove them, and you can, but you need to add a layer of clear wax to do that. So they're really designed to be permanent and not like that, and to sit on the surface of what you're doing. Antique pastes are designed to sit in the crevices, in the depths of your pieces, and if you get them on the top of the surface, you can take a baby wipe and just wipe it back from where you don't want it really easily. So wax sits on the surface. You can dilute it with transparent wax and lift off some. Antique paste sits in the bottom, in the depths, in the things, adds depth and dimension to your piece. and will wipe off the surface with water. So they're two very, very different products, and that's why you'll see quite often people using them together. So we have our album completed page by page. I will photograph and do a live with it. Yeah, I'll do a reel with it, and then I might see if I can do a little video. So I've deliberately got double lengths. You could use one just as easily, and I'm conscious that they're not completely dry, and you need a longer length than you think. So these are when you're doing this, and you need to leave your tails reasonably long. That's too long, so we'll have a little haircut here, but for doing it, there we are. There we are. So let's just neaten. Where did I put that nice sharp pair of scissors? There we are. We'll put that there, and we'll just neaten those two. Okay. So we now have a This Day That Way concertina album, and I can open it from one side or the other or both. The options are up to yours. So I hope that we've all enjoyed that. Rima, you and I can have a discussion online about what you want in terms of a beginner's project, you know, and where we can take it. And as I say, my intention is we'll mix it up. We'll do some projects like this and some not. So the heart is, Rima, is Stamperia. The flowers are from Dadakar Arts. I think it's Get Inspired from Love Shabby Chic on Etsy. So that is all for tonight. For those of you that are going to join Vasilis on his class, that will be starting, I think, in approximately half an hour. I will love you and leave you. My intention will be to do a live next week. I might put a poll up to see whether people would prefer 10 o'clock or whether they prefer it to be at this time of the day. I have to say I've got more people watching now, so it might work better globally for people. Take care, stay safe, and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye.